When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and we have Paige Arnof-Fenn with us today. And it's going to be a great conversation because her and we just had such a great time when we met a couple of months ago. And we had this deep conversation on, no one else knows who you are if you're invisible, which means if you're not telling your story, someone else will. And I said, that is so true. So many women out there, especially women, because I work with them, I've noticed that they're like not getting out there to promote their brand. It's why I started the Leap community. It's why I do the podcast. It's so I can promote and pull the spotlight into other individuals, but at the same time, bring the value to my listeners of all of the knowledge that my guests have and give you nuggets of wisdom and ideas and things that you can apply to your business today. So we are going to get into that with Paige in just one second. But before we do, I want to thank the sponsor of today's show, Phoenix Drone Pros. At Phoenix Drone Pros, we love what we do and are passionate about each and every drone photography and video shoot. We've been in business since 2015. Our talent and skills shows in the video production we deliver. We offer fast service for commercial real estate, movies, events, and construction site monitoring. We also provide drone virtual tours that are all the rage right now. These virtual tours are great for team building and entertainment. Contact us today at phoenixdronepros.com to schedule your shoot online or get more information. We are now franchising. Reach out for information on how you can purchase your own drone company. Thank you, Phoenix Drone Pros, for being the sponsor of today's show. Paige Arnof-Fenn is the founder and CEO of global marketing and branding firm Mavens and Moguls based in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Her clients include Microsoft, Virgin, the New York Times Company, Colgate, venture-backed startups, as well as nonprofit organizations. She graduated from Stanford University and Harvard Business School. Paige serves on several boards and is a popular speaker and columnist who's written for The Entrepreneur and Forbes. Paige, a celebrity. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Colleen. I think you're a celebrity.
I feel like it in my own right? And maybe that's what we're talking about. You're creating yourself to be a celebrity. And I love it when people meet me and they say, hold on for a second, I'm just slightly starstruck. In my life, what do you mean you're starstruck? Like, I'm just Colleen Biggs. That's all I am. But what they see because of my efforts of how I present myself online and how I tell my story and how I show up, that's what I am to them, just like you are to the community that you serve, Paige. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I think that is a missed opportunity that you're finding a lot of businesses are missing that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think what we've lived through the past almost 4 years now, if we learned anything during the pandemic, it's that if you don't exist online, you don't exist. And being invisible is an absolutely terrible business strategy. You have to show up. And I find a lot of my clients, in particular women, they feel like I'm not Julia Roberts or Beyonce or Taylor Swift, so I'm not really a brand, I'm not really famous. But nothing could be further from the truth. Like you said, we all have our own niche. And in your niche, you need to stand out and you need to be known for something and brand yourself so that you own some real estate in your customer's brain. Because if they don't think of you when they have a problem that your product or service can help them solve, you're invisible and you're not gonna sell anything. So I just tell people, they think like, oh, that's just egotistical, or I'd be a narcissist if, I talked about myself too much. That is not true. You just have to find a way to create a really compelling brand, and then you need to reinforce it in everything that you do so that you show up professionally and consistently everywhere, online and offline. It's critical today because, like we were saying, if you don't brand yourself, other people are going to brand you instead, and you need to control your narrative. That is the essence of branding today.
Yeah. You said show up online and offline. Okay, now I'm loving that. And I'll tell you why I love that so much, because I feel like some dabble a little in one and maybe not another, and they're not fully integrated into both. So when we're talking about showing up online, I'm assuming you're talking about social media, you're talking about websites, you're talking about I can find you on Google, I can see that you're doing things on other people's platforms on Google, that there's an online presence.
Bingo. And so there's a real easy test for that. Open a Google browser and type your name in, and let's see what pops up. And if nothing pops up, you're invisible. And that's a problem, because why would anybody return your phone call or want to meet you for coffee or set up a Zoom meeting if you're nobody? That is a real red flag.
Yeah.
If they Google you and you have a very common name, Susan Jones, Jane Smith, so many things are going to come up. They're going to be confused. They're not going to know who you are. But with a name like yours or a name like mine, chances are if they Google us, it's really going to be us. And so you want to make sure everything that comes up as a match is positive. And if you have some digital dirt out there of stuff that might kind of be on that first page on Google, you need to start creating a lot of content that's going to push down all those bad stories so that the good ones come up first. Because they usually don't go to pages 3, 4, and 5. They just want to see what pops up in their screen. So, it's really critical. And people think, my competition is always being talked about. I see them in articles, I see them, online. Why do people mention my competition and they never mention me? Well, you need to be figuring out ways that you can either blog or get active on social media and kind of be part of the conversation. There are a lot of ways to build an online reputation that are, you don't need to spend an arm and a leg. You don't have to be on every social media platform, but the ones that you're on, you need to be very active in. I tell people, don't spread yourself too thin. If you start a blog, you need to be very active blogging. You can't just do it once every blue moon. You need to blog on a regular schedule. It doesn't have to be every day, but maybe you need a couple of blog postings a week. And then if people respond and want to engage, you have to be able to go back and forth. If it's like you don't monitor it and you don't respond, people are going to lose interest.
Yeah.
Personally, I like LinkedIn. It's a very professional platform. It's great for professional service firms. If you have articles that you want to publish, it's a great platform for publishing. My clients are not really looking for me on Instagram and Facebook. So those are not a priority for me. But if, whatever you're on, you're really good about it, Colleen. You're everywhere. I mean, and you're really consistent in terms of the image and the messages. You're constantly reinforcing all of the essence, everything that's the essence of your brand. Where people run into trouble, I think, is if they try and be one type of person on one platform and another type of person on another platform. That's really dangerous, because when you're building a brand, you're building trust with your customers. And you want to know that that brand is going to show up consistently every time. I mean, imagine if you walked into a Starbucks or a McDonald's and everyone had their own menu and their own design. You would be completely confused, and it wouldn't be an experience that you would feel comfortable at, because you'd have to rethink everything every time you walked in. that's not, a brand is building a relationship, and it's basically building trust with your customer
Yeah.
base.
There's a
So
value to that brand, and it loses value. It loses a lot of value when there's lack of consistency.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so for me, if LinkedIn is your priority, like it is mine, it's a very professional platform.
Mm-hmm.
It's not appropriate to post spring break photos when you're in your bikini, having parties on the beach. It's not really where you want to take pictures of your margarita, hanging out with your friends, eating
Mm-hmm.
nachos and posting. Like there are other platforms, Facebook, Instagram, where those would be more appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is if you're trying to use social media as a professional platform, and that's where customers find you, you want to make sure that you're showing a professional
Yeah.
face everywhere. And I think with Twitter X, I see a lot of people who think they're like stand-up comedians and they want to be really snarky and funny. And if that's not really part of your professional brand, you're confusing your audience, because
Yeah.
they may not want the stand-up comedian to show up at the business meeting.
Mm-hmm.
That might not be the right image.
Yeah.
So, you got to be careful on stuff like that.
That's hilarious. And you're so right on, oh my gosh, the nuggets that just came out of that were huge. We talked about brand consistency, how you're showing up on the different platforms. The thing that I love that you nailed is you said, my customers are on LinkedIn. So where are your customers? That's where you want to hang out. So hang out where your customers are. That doesn't mean you can't still post on Instagram. You can't still post on Facebook. But are you posting the things that you need to be posting on LinkedIn if that's mainly where your customers are coming from? And I find that on LinkedIn, again, this is for my business because of the caliber of the clients that I work with. My customers are there as well. You need to be hanging out and consistently posting there, and being very clear on your message of what you do and how you serve people. And I always say, when you're in the middle of, I love it when I see people posting photos of, their setup when they're getting ready to meet a client for a day, a day, or a VIP day or whatever it is, because they're posting and saying like, today I'm meeting a client. So that they're active in their business, they're working with clients, and they're kind of keeping you on a journey so that you know what's going on. And I do love it when people are very active on that. And they're not just professional posts that you've had a team build to where, it's very canned every single time. So it's more like some type of, an announcement of your business or some type of just a marketing message. But if you interdisperse those with the other ones and can stay very consistent, then I think you have a good, well-rounded brand plan.
Yeah, but you raise a great point. It's got to be authentic, and it
Yeah.
can't be too polished. If
Yeah.
it's too canned and too perfect, people aren't going to really relate to that. I found with my clients, sometimes they post almost like a blooper reel, like they were getting ready for a meeting and something went wrong, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, I've only got 10 minutes. I meant to do this." And that's what people really connect with.
Yeah.
That's what people really
Yeah.
relate to when you're in your most authentic moments. And, I tell people, everybody thinks they have to start their own blog. You do not need to start your own
Mm-mm.
blog. If somebody else in your category or your industry has a very successful, well-trafficked blog,
Yeah.
you can be a contributor. You could do a guest post, and every time you comment on their blog, make your comment really smart.
Mm-hmm.
Be known as the person who chimes in with the really smart, intelligent, maybe showing a sense of humor, and then tag it with your follow-up information so they
Mm-hmm.
know how to find you. And if you're that person on an industry blog that's very well respected, that appeals to like-minded audiences, you're going to get a lot of bang for that buck, and you don't have to manage
Mm-hmm.
the blog every day. But if you chime in once or twice a week with great comments, that's contributing to the brand that you're building in your industry. And that's a great way to do it. Some people think they need to do a newsletter every week. You don't need to do a newsletter every week. It can be bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly. You set the tone and you set the conversation expectation. If you tell them you're going to be there monthly in their inbox, you got to show up monthly.
Yeah.
You can't do it for 1 month and then skip it for 3 months. Because again, that's a reflection of your brand. In a digital economy, if how you show up online says everything.
It does. So, you mentioned Mavens and Moguls, which I love the name of your branding firm. What is your favorite project to work on with your clients?
I mean, I love so much, I've been doing marketing since 1990, and so many, there was no social media back then.
No.
It's changed so much, but I really love helping my clients find the right words and pictures to tell their stories so that they can attract more of their customers faster. I love playing with the images and the pictures. I love helping create great, like product names, company names, taglines. I just think when you can connect with your audience in an emotional way and you can help them kind of stand out from the pack and really create a compelling brand and see how they can tell their story. I guess having started my career in big Fortune 500 companies, and then I started working for startup companies that, they were invisible, and I helped create a brand that helped them go public or get sold. And then I hung out a shingle 22 years ago to build my own brand. I love helping people tell their stories. I think at my heart, I'm really a storyteller. I grew up in the South, and I just remember hearing great stories of my family and my friends. I think it's just in my DNA to do that. And having had the experience of working for big companies with big budgets and smaller companies with smaller budgets, and sometimes being like really scrappy and, guerrilla marketing with virtually no budget, I think it's just really fun to help organizations that have great stories to tell, to help them increase their visibility and get out there. I just feel like, you shouldn't have to have a huge budget to tell your story.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that my team, can help companies on an outsourced basis without a lot of overhead. And we can help them kind of break through and, elevate their profile and reach people that are going to be better off because they heard about them. And I love that. I love making a difference and telling an audience about like the best kept secret, like something that's going to improve the quality of their life.
Yeah.
It'll be more convenient. It'll be something that enriches their life. And you don't have to be the biggest brand, the biggest voice, or the biggest budget. If you've got a great story to tell and you're making a positive difference in the world, I would love to help you tell your story and find more of your customers.
Yeah. If you were to give a tip or two to someone today on really being seen more online, what would be your opinion in those tips?
So, number one, you've got to have a website, and it should be search engine optimized because, as I said, you don't exist if they can't find you. And don't spread yourself too thin, but pick your battles. Whatever is authentic to you, stick to that. For me, it's LinkedIn. For you, it could be Twitter X. It could be Facebook, could be Instagram, Pinterest. I don't care. But do what's right for you and stay in your lane. Don't try and copy your competition, because if it's not authentic to you, your customers are going to know that. I think the reason you resonate so much with your audience and that people that hire me like working with us is because it's in our bones. We're not trying to be something we're not.
Yeah.
Everybody's not going to be a good customer for you, and that's okay. I just think for the ones that you can help and that resonate with your core values and your core message, you want them to be able to find you.
Yeah.
So, build it doesn't need to be the fanciest website. We have clients that have like literally one-page websites, very simple. If you have a simple site with a clever name and a tagline and a logo and a brand, and you don't need to spend a bajillion dollars. You don't have to be everywhere. I just think some of the best brands have very simple, clear messages. You can't stand for 10 different things. Pick 1, 2, at the most 3 things that you want to be known for, and reinforce that in everything that you do. Put it on your website. Make sure you look the part. If you're really telling people you're sporty and active and you show up looking in a pinstripe suit, it doesn't resonate. That's not, we've worked with a woman in animation in Los Angeles, and there are a ton of animators in LA. But she is someone who runs her own business and is a woman-owned business, which is very unusual for animation companies. Her favorite color is red, and she always wears something red. So when she goes to a meeting with a lot of people in a big venue, you look for someone in a sea of sameness, a bunch of dark suits. She's wearing a red sweater, a red scarf. She drives a red car. That's part of her brand, and it's on her business card. Like that is her signature color. And it's part of her logo. It's part of everything. And I think it can be something very simple. It doesn't need to be, think about some of the great personal brands that are out there. Can you imagine Jay Leno with a different chin, or Barbara Streisand with a different nose? No, that's part of who they are, and they've embraced what it is that makes them unique, special, and different. So figure out what it is about you that's unique, special, and different, and really embrace it and just reinforce it in everything that you do. And it could be, with my company, I have a hyphenated last name. I have a company name with an ampersand in the middle. And a lot of people are like, who's that woman? I can't remember all the names. And I've had clients who tell me they knew that I did marketing, but that wasn't part of my company name. All they could remember was my first name, Paige, and the first name of my company, Mavens. And they went into Google and they Googled Paige and Mavens, and I popped right up. So thank goodness for search engine optimization, because they could find me when they were looking for me.
Great example.
That's the key. Like, if people can't find you when they need you, you're not going to get the business.
And that's when they're going to find you. So I think it's important to say is when they need you. So you're not selling to everyone. You're selling to the ones that need you now. It's that time. It's the season. It's when they're going to need to hire you. And you are the one that came across their social media feed or their LinkedIn feed, and they saw you and they're like, whoa, hey, yeah, I need this right now. And so I'm so glad that I saw your post that you put out there. Again, if you're not putting a post, then you're completely invisible. And I know, Paige, you have some articles for Mavens and Moguls, and some speaker programs. You've got some things that you've given us on LinkedIn. I would love for everyone to connect with you. And I've got those listed in our notes here. So everyone listening to this can just click on it, with a push of their button of their finger, and go. And I would definitely connect with Paige on LinkedIn, because it's a great place for, you to be able to ask questions of Paige, to be able to ask questions of maybe a marketing question you have. She has some great articles out there for you to be able to read and get connected with her. What one last thing would you like to leave us with? And we would love to know what book you're reading right now as well.
Oh, I've always been a big reader. I just finished a really good book by a business leader, a guy named Dick Ebersol. And he's the guy who did Saturday Night Live and Sunday Night Football. So the book is called From Saturday Night to Sunday Night. And it's kind of his business story with iconic American brands. I mean, he helped establish in sports and pop culture a lot of things that are just kind of part of my childhood, part of my youth. And I loved reading the stories of how his life and his career and his kind of personal and professional lives merged to create something that I consider iconic.
Yeah.
I love reading business books about people that have achieved, overcome a lot of challenges and obstacles to achieve amazing success in their life. I get really inspired.
Yeah.
But I read Prince Harry's book about growing up. It was called Spare. It was the heir and the spare, and he was the spare. I love that too. So I'm somebody who's a big reader, but there is a ton of content on my site. If anybody wants to know anything about marketing or branding, I've got about 25 pages of articles on the site for people to. It's all free content. I've got a lot of videos if people want to see. But you were just saying, it's funny. I'm going to speak at a big executive conference next week. And I put a post on LinkedIn the other day just to give people, it's a free conference and I wanted people to know in my network. And so many people responded and said, thank you for letting me know. I've got a conflict, but I sent it to 3 people I know who need marketing work right now.
Great.
And I'm so glad I heard from you because I'm going to recommend they call you. They have a problem right now and you would be the perfect person to help them. And if I hadn't sent out that update, they might not have thought of me. And so the timing is everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So going back to the very first thing we said, if no one knows who you are, you're invisible. And if you're not telling your story, someone else will. So that was the perfect way to end today's interview, Paige, honestly. And for all my listeners out there, you're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that will ever be. So how do you want to be seen? What do you want to be known for? Grant Cardone is the perfect example for that. Because when he started, he said, I want to be known for sales. Sales, sales, sales. That's what I want to be known for. When you think of Grant Cardone, you think of sales. That's what he does. So he has gotten to the height of his career on that and is known for sales. And he put all of his effort into that. So what do you want to be known for? Get out there, get your message straight, work with Paige, reach out to all of her articles at mavensandmoguls.com. You can see all the articles and you can also see where she's speaking and go follow her on LinkedIn. Like I said, she's at Paige Arnof-Fenn on LinkedIn. You can just click on the link and go right to her. So Paige, thank you again so much for being with us today. You were an amazing guest.
Well, thank you so much. It's been really fun chatting with you, Colleen. I really appreciate it.
All right, everyone, it's that time. So until next time, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.